Now we're going to give you examples of doing step one. And after we do it verbally, we're going to show you what it might look like in writing. And after that, we'll invite you to try it yourself. So I'll go first and articulate a positive moment from this morning. So this positive moment took place in the context of a morning that I would describe as distracted, kind of busy, having feelings like I have a lot to do. There's a lot on my plate and I want to do it all well. And when will I find the time? So that's the background for this positive moment. Now, what happened was that when I paused for a moment to think of a positive moment, I was sitting quietly, kind of preparing myself to sort through the actual happenings of this morning. And in that moment, I heard a bird singing outside my window, and my mood just went right up. Just from hearing the sound of that happy bird song, I felt better. And that's my positive moment. Gerald, will you share a positive moment?
Yes, I will. Mine won't be so recent. I'm thinking my positive moment was yesterday morning, and it was when I was waking up. And I have that period in my waking up time each morning is kind of special for me, and because I'm more I call it mindful at that time because I don't have anything else on my mind. I just and at that time, so I can be mindful. And mindful means that I'm aware of aware of each moment, any thought or even feeling, and feelings and thoughts they all get mixed together, has what they are. And so I'm keeping track and little minor things, just a little thing will flash through my mind, and I'll remember, I'll be aware that I just had this thought. Maybe it's something about memorying of something yesterday, and then something else will come on, and then so anyway, when I'm in that mindful state, though, it really is, I like it a lot and try to do more of it. And yesterday morning, I was just really, really onto it more than usual, and every little thought and feeling just was happening one after another there, and in fact, I got at it to the level that as I was, each moment was, or just each thought was happening, I was aware of it, and then I was aware of having in the middle of that when I was breathing, that I would be aware of thoughts, and then I'd notice a breath there, in or out, and then I had some more thoughts that was just what was going in my mind right at that moment, and then I'd notice another breath there. And that was the first time I've ever just noticed my breath as part of my mindfulness. I've purposely paid attention to my breath, as everyone does who does any type of meditation, or that you start with usually your breath, but this isn't a case. I was just doing it. I wasn't even thinking about my breath, and then all once when I was really aware of everything that was happening, I was realizing that when I was breathing and when I wasn't breathing, while and other thoughts were going on all around these breaths. And that was kind of a unique experience, and I really liked it. I thought I was at a kind of a new level of mindfulness at that point, and so I felt very good about that.
Now we want to show you what the same positive moments might look like in writing. You can articulate positive moments in your own mind. You can articulate them in words, speaking to yourself or someone else. And you can also articulate positive moments in writing. So the reason we want to show you this is not just for the variety, but also because at the end of this video, we'll be inviting you to give this a try yourself. And we're going to ask you to do it in writing. So now I'm going to give you a moment just to read over this positive moment that I wrote down, and then we'll read it together. So let's read it together. Sitting by my window, I paused to reflect on positive moments. Just then, I heard a bird singing sweetly outside. My mood lifted. I felt happy and peaceful and hopeful. So one thing that I want to point out here is that this positive moment has two parts. The first part is describing what happened. And the second part is finding words for or articulating how I was feeling at that time, articulating the positive feelings that made it a positive moment. And you can see that this example shows a positive moment that occurred in a brief period of time. It was something very simple that happened, and it happened in my relationship to the world, not in the privacy of my own mind. So when you look at Gerald's positive moment in just a second here, you're going to see that none of those things must be the case. Your positive moment could be something that took place over a long period of time, was complicated, and was internal, as you'll see when Gerald shows you his.
Okay, as Jennifer has pointed out ahead of time, mine is a little longer than hers, and maybe mine shouldn't be called a positive moment. Maybe it should be called a positive experience, because it's spread out over a little longer than several moments. Actually, I think my moment was probably about 15 minutes altogether. But before I talk about it, read it with you, why don't you go ahead and read it first, and then I'll come back and we'll do more. Okay. Now, once again, I'll read it and you can follow along. It might be useful. And I was waking up, and I decided to be mindful of my thoughts and feelings. My mindful practice consists of being aware of each thought and feeling I am having at the moment it is happening. I had an especially vivid awareness of my thoughts and feelings this day. I was aware of each momentary thought, even to the point that I was aware of each breath during that 15-minute period of mindfulness. Although my articulation of each moment is impossible because of the rapidity of the thoughts, I can tell you that I was more aware than I have been in previous attempts at mindfulness. For example, in previous attempts, I had not been aware of my breathing. On this day, I was very aware of my breathing, internal sensations, and my thoughts and feelings as they were occurring. So that's my positive moment or positive experience. So why don't we now go ahead to the next part, Jennifer?
Okay, so now it's your turn to give this a try. I hope that these examples have been helpful in showing you that you practically cannot do this wrong. If you are articulating on the topic of a moment that was a little better than the surrounding moments, you are doing it right. So when this video ends, take a little breath, pause, reflect on your recent past, and see if you can find in your memories of recent moments, a moment that shines out as a bit better than the surrounding moments. Then find the words and put them either in the space below this video where they will be there for you when you come back. The program stores them. Or, and we actually will encourage you to do this in the long run, get a journal and dedicate it to this practice. So you have your work all together in one place and you can go back to it and reread it. There's a link in the space below this video as well, or maybe it's to the right or left. We're not sure yet, but anyway, there's a link for the book and you can always click over to Amazon to purchase the book when you're ready.